Okay, let's go ahead and get started on this there, everybody. Welcome back to another, 2:15 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strange Bird Jim, and as you can see, we're going to be getting back into some Pega studying. We got some Unreal Engine to work out. We have some more videos to upload, and then we got Terraria later on tonight. Probably a short session for single player, and then of course a longer multiplayer section. So, um, so yeah. Um, what are um, Before I get into the questions that or the answers that I received from Pega concerning the suggestions that I provided, let me tell you about what these videos are all about, who am I, and what you should expect from them. So, um, I am currently an unemployed software developer whose last job was working with the Pega environment. So I have a little bit of experience, but not a ton. Um, you know, um, my last job, we were trained by an authorized training partner, which pretty much most of us were pretty much not happy with and went to self-study. Um, I was forced, but I was definitely not ready for the certification that we had to take, which was 8.6. When I took it, there was some questions in there that dealt with Pega 7, so I wasn't too happy about that fact. Especially seeing that, we weren't really given any of the information about what, keywords were in Pega 7, so, I'm not going to say that all the authorized trading partners are like that. Still talked with a couple of them that were, still knowledgeable, so it's not like um, every single last one is terrible, but we just didn't really have the greatest one on in with the team that I was with. Um, you know, I asked, or me and several others asked to be put back into the training cycle for it again so that we could actually learn properly with another instructor, but that never happened. So they want us down on contract as soon as possible. So, um, but I'm not an authorized training partner, and you should not consider this an instructor-led training. Okay, I'm not an expert in Pega. I don't claim to be. Um, and as much as I wouldn't mind being an expert in some programming, um, I don't have the experience yet. So, um, now, if you want to take the instructor-led training, then go ahead and do so. Supposedly, I would, it's hosted by the Pega Academy, so one would hope that the instructor is someone that is very well familiar with Pega, will be able to answer your questions, will provide all the information that you can ever learn about Pega, and you should be able to pass your certification with flying colors. That being said, from what I understand, the circular training is like about 2 weeks long. It is very jam-packed, very intensive, so you're probably going to be needed to take a lot of notes, do a lot of video recordings, and ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions because, you're going to be needing to kind of learn um, as much as you can. Okay, go back over what the instructor just said, or talk about previous versions of Pega, whatever whatever you need to get past that certification for yourself. Okay, so do yourself a favor and um, get your money's worth because in my particular opinion, $5,000 for that training is not cheap. So um, don't um, don't make the most out of it. So um, so I'm currently working on going towards the system architect certification. That's my main goal. There is the business architect certification that pretty much goes parallel with the system architect for the most part. Only these two modules are different. All of this has been already completed, as you can see here. Go back through my previous videos and you'll see, everything that I've covered in 8.7 for the business architect and system architect, up to that point. I mean, there are additional versions out there, 8.8 and 23, that's being made right now. So some of my information's probably a little outdated. Well, I mean, it is kind of outdated a little bit, but for those of you that are, international, um, you might have a little difficulty, as they haven't released any um, translations yet for 8.8. So, um, but these two modules there, they are pretty much the Pega Express delivery. I would recommend going through the Pega Express delivery in its entirety because I don't feel like these two modules covers enough for you to pass the business architect certification. That says that 12% of the certification is covering the Pega Express delivery. So that's my opinion. You can take it or leave it. You don't have to, accept um, my. Uh, you don't have to, you know, accept it. You can just take those two modules and move on to the certification. I just wish you luck on it. So, um, okay, but before we actually get into the system architect topic of the save data page automation topic there, I did receive several responses in terms of the suggestions that I made. So give me a second. Let me um, load up my email real quick, and we'll go through those edit suggestions. So the first one. Um, okay, so my question was, regarding the small quiz at the end of the topic is, how does it know when the parameter has been changed? This is concerning, I guess, um, the module is accessing source data in the case, and the topic is page auto population. Um, is it constantly checking the source for when it changes so that it will change the copy data? Seems like a waste of time to be constantly querying the database for a change that might never occur. So how does it know? Would like to have some more information here if you could provide. Okay, so the person replies with a link to the auto population. They're showing the image that was there. I'm happy to answer this question, and we'll mark the topic to try to add this in the next release. In this example, there's two data pages with this information. Let me expand it out a little bit. And, it's showing the fields for Michael Smith. Let me go to that particular um, let me go to that page. Let me go to that topic. So, okay. Source data in the case. Page auto population. Okay. Um, they're showing this image here. So, there are two data pages with this information. The source data page that is stored and maintained outside the case and the data page and the case created. If the source data page has any changes, it will check for any copy data pages and update them if and only if the data updated is one of the parameters in the case data page. So if the example above also has a drop-down for gender and the user makes a change to that, it will not update the case data page because gender is not stored in case. Gender is also isn't a parameter. If name is a parameter and is updated, then the source data page would update the case data page if name changes. If address isn't a parameter and is updated, the source data page would not update the case data page. Um, um, let's see. Source data page is stored and maintained outside the case, right? And data page case is created, right? Um, okay, but I'm kind of talking about when does the source data page check the um, she didn't really answer my question here, because I'm talking about when does the source data page, how often does it query the stored and maintained outside the case database. Okay, because I think that's what the question here, when you copy data from the data page, the data is refreshed. Um, but when does the data page know um, when it has new information there? So um, I don't think this person had um, really clarified that. How often does the source data page check the database for new updates? You know, so let me go ahead and reply to this person here. Um, so my question is, how often does the source data page query the database for updates? Is it every second, minute, hour? Um, um, I doubt that the database is sending notifications out, especially if it doesn't know who is connecting to the database. Um, let's see. Or is there something else that the source data page is doing in some way? Um, to flag if there is a change in the database in order to get the update if there is one. Um, um, that's what I'm trying to figure. Like, um, you connect to the DMV for driver's license information. Um, but when do you know if a customer's information slash driver's license is changed to update the source data page? Okay. So there we go. Okay. Okay, so that'll have to do for that one. Again, I'm not sure, you know, like I get like, hey, um, you know, um, well, to be honest, a lot of the information here, like even, you know, copying from the case data page, you know, like when does the case data page like reference or checks the source data page for an update? Um, but wait, hold on. It will not update the case data page because if the name is a parameter and is updated, then the source data page would update the case data page if name changes. Okay, so So if the source data page gets the update, then it would automatically go to pretty much all the case data pages and updates the name there if like multiple case data pages has those changes. So, um, but if it's not a parameter, then obviously it doesn't need to worry about that. Even though that the source data page might actually have the information. So, so it's an automatic thing from the source to the case. So that's fine. And obviously, vice versa. If the case changes the data, it probably would update the source, and then the source would update the main database, if that's the case. So the question still remains, when does the source data page query the database for new information? How often does it check? That information isn't really explained very well in this page auto population, so that's why I'm like, what's going on there? So, all right. Hey there, Em. How you doing? Welcome back to the stream. What you been up to? Okay, so let me go ahead and move on to the next one here. So um, So this one is considering the title of the pop-up window is cut off. What it is saying after if. There was like a long title. It had if and then a dot 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 and something afterwards. I don't really know. So I'm mentioning the fact that this seems to happen a lot. So it's say be proactive and check the under windows and fix them on the topics, whether it's doing a word wrap to allow for the title to move to the next line or showing the title itself. So, I mean, I've been seeing that happen a lot for all the topics. I mean, not just that one. So, so the person says, I agree. I will add a note to check for this in our content. We're hoping to change our hotspot content to be more accessible for screen readers and Gen AI. So hopefully this will be resolved during that effort. Thanks for the feedback. So I'm I'm hoping that they look through pretty much all those windows because it's often a problem. Here, let me see if I can show you an example if I can. Um, so one second. It's basically one that actually has like you know, like these little plus items. These titles don't really, wrap at all. So if you have something that is very long, then it'll pretty much the title will go off the screen and you can't see what's beyond it. And yeah, right here, you know, perfect example. So it's like, what's being said here, after this, I don't really know. I can't see it. There's nothing for me to, I can't increase the size of the screen. It doesn't, increase the window size or anything like that. It keeps the window size the same. It's like, nothing I can do about it. So that they're going to have to be proactive on that and fix these because this happens a lot. Too many times in my particular opinion. I think I've mentioned this like easily 4 times during the study session, or during all the study sessions that I've had with them so far. At least 4 times, if not more. I mean, um, to be honest, I don't know how many times I've you know addressed that. So, okay, we move on. Okay, um, so, um. Okay, so this is concerning one of the modules for, or the module quiz. accessing source data in a case for data pages. Question here is talking about folders, yet the topics above did not mention folders at all. Now we can interpret what you might be going for, but I feel like it is another example of old graphic or something not being updated to new keywords or vice versa. Was still able to get the correct answer, but it left me wondering if folders are indeed something that I might need to look out for in the certification itself, or was it an example of what could be seen? Um, that was my suggestion, and um, got a reply saying, "You are correct, that question should not be there. Sadly, due to localization limitations, I cannot remove it. However, you do not need to worry about that on your exam." Well, I don't know about that. I did confirm it is not in our later content, so there's that. We'll move on there. Okay. Next one here. Next particular topic. Um, so it's not showing what the information that I was kind of talking about. Um, but based off of what they're saying here, it's talking about linked property pages. So thank you for the suggested edit. Linked property pages is something that will be covered in a different training. I mean, then make sure that you know, one, make sure that it's definitely not covered in the system architect certification exam, which they're saying linked property pages will not be covered in the system architect certification exam. If I see a question on the certificate, if if anybody is seeing linked property pages in the current system architect certification exam, let me know, or go down into the comments and put down like, hey, no, I definitely saw linked property pages on my system architect certification exam. Okay. Now if it's on like the senior or something like that, then they're not stating that there, so that's definitely outside of the scope. Okay. It has to be within the system architect. If it's within the system architect certification exam and you did see a question about linked property pages, then this person is incorrect. So um, I've added the following text to our latest release. So they're kind of doubling down with that not being on the certification exam. So um, but I think I was trying to see. I was trying to ask about it, you know, about linked property pages because like I think one of the like questions afterwards was um, kind of dealing with um, like additional information concerning it. So um, yeah. All right. Well, um, I guess that's going to be it for this. I don't think there's anything different that I can kind of do or change about this. Um, so those were the questions that have been answered. Oh, did I got a notification that someone had signed into Twitch, and it looks very similar to your username. So I'm just kind of curious. Did you follow me on Twitch? Yeah, I'm not using that anymore. It's pretty much a dead profile, but you know, if you did, thank you. But I mean, I don't do Twitch anymore. Ever since um, they started making changes to make it harder for content creators um, to get, like revenue for themselves, I pretty much said, what, I'm getting out of there. Now, um, they have done something, that I would applaud in that, they're allowing for streamers to finally do multi-platform streaming. Like they'll allow people to stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Um, Finally, I've seen multiple people breaking those rules though. So you know, I've seen affiliates on Twitch breaking those multi-platform rules. So I myself wasn't doing that, but it was really kind of irritating when I saw other creators doing it, and it's like, you know, my concern was that like, hey, if I started doing it myself and I got caught, then well, you know, there went that, my channel could have been like deleted and stuff like that, and I didn't really want that to happen, um, but they finally opened it up to everybody, so there's that. Um, but I mean, Twitch is still 50-50 on their revenue, and I believe they still have their restrictions in place about what people can advertise on their pages. So no, I'm not going back there. So not to say that YouTube is that much better per se. Um, but you know, but I've kind of already talked about that before. I think I've already put up like a video on my like my blog about the reasoning behind making the move over to YouTube and why I didn't go for any of the other platforms. So, oh yeah. I got 12 minutes. And yeah, there's not much here. I might be able to finish this off. Okay, so, um, I believe we covered the last information and the last page. Yep, we did. So we don't need to worry about that. So we're going to go through the save data page automation here. So savable data pages provide a way to push data from a data page to a system or record. After you add a save plan to a data page, add a save data page automation step to the case lifecycle to identify the point during case processing that Pega platform updates the system or record. The save data page step automates the upload transaction using the save plan configured on the savable data page. I was wondering why you never live on Twitch. I was, I did stream on Twitch for the longest time. Um, I think I was there for good 2.5 years, but um, I never really took off. Um, you know, so, um, mm, I mean, I was never doing like, the, um, I was playing the games that I wanted to play, and I didn't really allow for toxic chatters or anything along those lines. I wasn't, you know, I didn't want to be a dancing monkey for the chat or anything along those lines. You know, I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I guess some people didn't really vibe with that. So, um, and you know, so uh, like I remember one time I got raided while I was playing World of Warships. And I was talking about this one situation where, I went around one side of the island and I was basically punished for it. And, everybody aimed at me and I was quickly killed off. And I mentioned the fact that I was, that I did a stupid thing there. And someone was, someone basically said, "You suck," in the chat. No other context. I'm like, yeah, okay, you can go. You know, if you don't want to offer anything constructive, then you can just get out of my chat. I don't need you in here. You know, so I'm not gonna take that from anybody. You know, now if they were saying like, hey, you're right. You did make a mistake. You should have done it this way, and you might have survived a little bit longer or something like that. Then I would have been fine. That's something constructive. But yeah, no. Someone actually did that. Oh yeah. I mean, um, chat can be very toxic, like all the time. I mean, you go to any Twitch streamer. I mean, hell, just go to any large channels or something like that, especially when it's like a competitive PvP style, and just watch the chat for a little while. You'll see those messages pop up. Like, oh my God, how could you miss the aim shot like that? Or, you might as well just uninstall. Or, there's always going to be some chatters that are going to be like that, unfortunately. So, now some of them might be actual trolls, like, they're doing that because they're trying to get a laugh for themselves. Um, but, um, you know, um, but some of them are downright that mean. Like they're like they are in that competitive mindset of like, oh hey, I'm better than you. Haha, you suck. Uninstall your game, whatever. Now I never dealt with it because I never hit like a large audience. Uh, my streams were always really difficult to get like three concurrent chatters at any one particular point in time. So I had the hardest time trying to get affiliate back in the day. So it was actually that raid from that one streamer. He brought in 190 some viewers all at once, and that pushed my view count above the three average that I needed for that month. So um, if it wasn't for his raid, I probably would have never gotten affiliate, to be honest. So, and that's why I tend to recommend anybody that streams to raid down, not raid up. You know, if you raid larger content creators, raid people with you know thousands of viewers and stuff like that. Sure, you might be able to say, "Hey, look at me. I'm a fan," or something like that. Maybe go check out my page. But in reality, it should be that larger streamer kind of going out and reaching out um to other people, you know. like if um uh like let's say you have a large community, right? Okay. Now you reach out to your community and say, okay, who here streams, right? And then if you get that list of people within your community that also streams, and when you're done, you look through that list and you're like, okay, who's currently streaming right at this moment in time? Oh, that guy's streaming right now. Let's go raid him. And now that small streamer now has an audience, and might have one or two that might stick around or might watch them a little bit more. That helps out the small streamer out some more. And guess what? You know, because of your kindness of doing that, that should also enhance your reputation, because you're doing something good for others. At least that's how I see it, you know. But um, I never got large at all on Twitch, so I switched over to YouTube. So, okay, let's get back to going over the Pega here. So save data page automation configuration. In a flow rule, you'll use the save data page automation after an assignment to save data back to the system of record. For example, all parts suppliers for Parts OS Auto must register to become authorized suppliers. A supplier must enter supplier details, part contract details, part return center details, and submit the registration. After entering all the details, the Save Data Page automation is included in the flow where the developer must pass the data page with a key to commit the data to the database. To commit multiple data sources, add multiple Save Data Page automation steps to the flow. A Save Data Page automation provides two options for specifying a savable data page. Specify the data page explicitly by entering or selecting the data page in the data page name field. Reference the data page implicitly by selecting the Use Associated Property Opinion option and entering or selecting a page or page list property that is auto-populated using a savable data page. The following image shows the configuration pane for a savable data page. Click the plus icons to see detailed information about each configuration field. So here's the save data page automation step. Use the savable data page automation step to save the updated data to the system record. This configuration can improve performance and reduce memory requirements when multiple requesters in an application need to access the same information. Reference the data page implicitly. When you select the Use Associated Property option, you must enter or select the auto-populated property. Auto-population and populated property references a data page. Any parameters for the data page are passed from the property rule rather than the save data page step. Specify the data page explicitly. Enter or select the data page name to save data and the data page to a system record. Any parameters for the data page are listed in the configuration pane of the save data page step. In the parameters section, enter values for the parameters that are displayed. And then, of course, audit note. For both explicit and implicit references, you can specify the audit note details on the work object after you perform the save action. So which of the two methods are available to specify the data page and the save data page automation? So um, what is it, like data page and associated property? Yeah. So, okay, well, that's it for the save data page automation. We're going to go ahead and switch on over to the Unreal Engine um, process now. We're going to go ahead and end it at this point. So I want to thank everybody for stopping on by, and thank you for chatting with me for a short time. Um, or for longer, obviously, if you're going to be sticking with me till the next session. But for those of you watching this later on YouTube in my video section, I want to thank you all for joining me on this. Check out, um, if this is the first video that you're watching, I have a playlist with all the previous topics and modules that I've covered so far on a playlist ready for you to look through and watch. Um, Feel free to ask any kind of questions that you feel like you need answers for. I will do my best to try to answer them if I can. If I can't, I will see what I can do about trying to find individuals that can answer it. So don't be afraid to ask those questions because if they're necessary for you, then they're probably going to be necessary for others along the way as well. So do yourself a favor and ask those questions. Um, and check out the description for other links. Social media, um, Patreon, Throne. I got my stream team down below. If anybody wants to join that. Looking for streamers and non-streamers alike. Everybody's pretty much welcome on that team. So there's more description on the application page itself, so feel free to check that out if you want. And that's it. That's where we're going to go and end our Pega session for today. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll catch you next time. Until then, take care. Have a good night. Stay healthy, stay safe. And I'll catch you strangers next time.